The rain-soaked streets of Seattle glistened under the streetlights, but my heart felt heavier than the clouds above. I stood outside the neon-lit diner, my breath fogging in the chilly air, waiting for the one person I thought I could trust with my truth. By the end of the night, that trust would be shattered, and my world would never be the same. My name is Elias Navarro, 25, a graphic designer with a knack for finding beauty in chaos. I grew up in a small apartment in Capitol Hill, raised by my single mom, who taught me to love fiercely but guard my heart. I'd always known I was gay, but coming out in a city as progressive as Seattle still felt like stepping onto a tightrope. My best friend, Caleb Whitaker, 26, a charismatic barista with a sharp wit and a penchant for trouble, had been my anchor since high school. We'd shared everything. Late-night talks, stupid pranks, dreams of escaping our small lives. Tonight, I was finally going to tell him who I really was. The diner's bell jingled as I pushed through the door. Caleb was already there, sprawled in a red vinyl booth, his blonde curls catching the fluorescent light. He grinned, waving me over, but something in his eyes felt off. A flicker of unease I couldn't place. I slid into the seat across from him, my stomach twisting. "You look like you're about to confess a crime," he teased, sipping his coffee. I forced a laugh, but my hands trembled as I gripped the menu. "Caleb," I started, my voice low, "there's something I need to tell you." His eyebrows shot up, but he leaned in, all ears. I took a deep breath, the words I'd rehearsed 1,000 times spilling out. "I'm gay. I've known for a while, but I wanted you to hear it from me first." The air between us stilled. His smile faltered, and for a moment, I thought I saw warmth in his eyes. Then his expression hardened. "You're what?" he said, his voice sharp, like I just confessed to betrayal. "Elias, come on, man. You're not serious." My heart sank. I'd expected surprise, maybe even discomfort, but not this, disgust curling his lip like I was a stranger. Before I could explain, he stood, tossing a crumpled bill on the table. "I need some air," he muttered, storming out. I sat there, stunned, the diner's chatter fading to a dull roar. Caleb had been my rock, the one who'd stood by me when my dad walked out, when I failed my first art class, when life felt too heavy. How could he just leave? I paid for my untouched soda and stepped into the rain, hoping to catch him, to make him understand. But he was gone, and so was the friendship I thought was unbreakable. The next morning, I woke to a nightmare. My phone buzzed with notifications, texts, DMs, missed calls. My heart stopped when I opened Instagram. A post from Caleb's account stared back at me. A blurry photo of us from last summer, with a caption that cut deeper than any knife. "Guess who's been lying to me this whole time? Not my friend Fakers." Comments poured in, some cruel, some confused, but all public. My truth, the one I'd trusted him with, was now a spectacle for our entire circle to dissect. I called him, my hands shaking, but he didn't pick up. Instead, I got a text. "You should have told me sooner. I can't deal with this." Tears stung my eyes as I sat on my bedroom floor, the city waking up outside my window. Seattle, with its rainbow flags and pride parades, was supposed to be safe. But Caleb's betrayal made it feel like the smallest, cruelest place on earth. I tried to focus on work, sketching logos for a local coffee shop, but my mind kept replaying last night. Had I misread Caleb all these years? Was his charm just a mask for someone who couldn't handle difference? I didn't want to believe it, but the evidence was everywhere. His post, his silence, the way he turned my vulnerability into gossip. By noon, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my jacket and headed to the grind, the cozy cafe where Caleb worked. The bell above the door chimed as I stepped inside, the smell of espresso grounding me. Caleb was behind the counter, laughing with a customer, as if he hadn't just torn my world apart. When he saw me, his smile vanished. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. He shrugged, wiping his hands on his apron, and led me to a corner table. The cafe was quiet, just a few patrons sipping lattes, oblivious to the tension between us. "Why'd you do it?" I asked, my eyes locked on his. "I trusted you, Caleb. You were my best friend." He leaned back, crossing his arms. "You dropped a bomb on me, Elias. What was I supposed to do? Just act like it's nothing?" His voice was defensive, but there was something else. Guilt, maybe, or fear. "It's not nothing," I said, my voice breaking. "It's who I am. And you made it a punchline." He looked away, his jaw tight. "I didn't mean for it to blow up like that. I was just pissed. You kept this from me for years." It felt like a lie. I wanted to scream, to tell him he didn't get to make my coming out about him. But instead, I stood, my chair scraping the floor. "You didn't just hurt me, Caleb. You outed me to everyone. That's not something you fix with an apology." As I walked out, the weight of his betrayal settled deeper. But something else stirred too, a spark of defiance. I wasn't going to let his actions define me. Seattle was my city, and I'd find a way to reclaim my truth. The weeks that followed were a blur of avoidance and ache. I muted Caleb's notifications, but the damage was done. Friends I hadn't spoken to in years sent messages. Some supportive, others prying, a few dripping with judgment. I felt exposed, like my soul had been stripped bare for the world to gawk at. But in that vulnerability I found an unexpected ally. Her name was Amara Chun, 24, a vibrant photographer with a laugh that could light up a room. I met her at a local art gallery event, a fundraiser for an LGBTQ youth center. The gallery was a kaleidoscope of colors, bold paintings, soft sculptures, and people from every corner of Seattle's creative scene. I was there to network, hoping to distract myself from Caleb's betrayal. Amara approached me near a display of abstract photos, her dark eyes warm and curious. "You're Elias, right? The guy with the killer logo designs?" she said, holding out a hand. Her energy was infectious, and for the first time in days I smiled. We talked for hours, moving from art to life to the mess of my coming out. Amara was queer too, and her story, of navigating her identity in a traditional family, resonated with me. She didn't flinch when I told her about Caleb, just listened, her presence like a lifeline. "You don't owe him anything," she said, her voice firm. "But you owe yourself the chance to live authentically." Her words stuck with me. That night I went home and started sketching, not logos, but something raw, personal. A series of illustrations about love, betrayal, and resilience, each one pouring out the pain and hope I carried. I posted one online, a drawing of a heart split by a jagged line, with the caption, "This is me, unbroken." The response was overwhelming. Likes, shares, messages from strangers who'd felt the same sting of rejection. It was terrifying, but it felt right. Meanwhile, Caleb's life seemed untouched. I saw him on social media, still charming customers at the grind, still posting with his usual swagger. But rumors started to swirl. A mutual friend, Priya, texted me one night, "Caleb's been talking crap about you at work. Says you betrayed him by not telling him sooner." I stared at the message, anger bubbling up. He was painting himself as the victim, twisting my truth to fit his narrative. I decided to confront him again, this time on my terms. I showed up at the grind during a slow shift, my sketchbook tucked under my arm. Caleb was wiping down the counter, his back to me. "We're not doing this again, Elias," he said without turning around. "Yes, we are," I replied, my voice steady. "You don't get to rewrite what happened. You outed me. You made my life a spectacle. And now you're telling people I betrayed you." I slammed my sketchbook on the counter, open to the heart illustration. "This is what you did to me. Own it." He glanced at the drawing, then at me, his face unreadable. For a moment I thought he might apologize. Instead, he scoffed. "You're making this bigger than it is. People don't care as much as you think." I left without another word, but his dismissal lit a fire in me. I poured that energy into my art, creating more pieces, each one bolder than the last. Amara helped me organize a small exhibit at a community center, and to my shock, it sold out. Strangers came up to me, sharing their own stories of betrayal and survival. I realized I wasn't alone, and that Caleb's actions couldn't silence me. But the universe had other plans. One evening, as I scrolled through X, I saw a post from a local gossip account. A video of Caleb at a bar, drunkenly ranting about fake friends and people who lie about who they are. The comments were brutal, calling him out for his hypocrisy. I didn't feel vindicated, just sad. Caleb was unraveling, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to watch him fall. Amara invited me to her studio the next day, a cozy loft filled with camera gear and colorful prints. She showed me a photo she'd taken at the gallery event. A candid shot of me, mid-laugh, the light catching my eyes. "This is who you are, Elias," she said. "Not the guy Caleb tried to tear down." I looked at the photo, then at her, and something shifted. For the first time since that night in the diner, I felt like I could breathe. Amara's friendship was a gift, but there was something more. A spark I hadn't expected. I didn't act on it, not yet. But as we talked late into the night, I wondered if maybe, just maybe, I was ready to let someone new in. The fallout from Caleb's bar rant spread like wildfire. By the next week, the Grind's Yelp page was flooded with reviews calling out his behavior. Customers posted about his attitude, and someone even linked to his Instagram post about me. I didn't know whether to feel satisfied or sick. Karma was real, but watching Caleb's life implode wasn't as cathartic as I'd imagined. I threw myself into my art, using the pain to fuel my work. My exhibit had caught the attention of a local gallery owner, Marcus, a 40-year-old black man with a quiet strength and a passion for uplifting queer artists. He offered me a spot in a group show, a chance to showcase my illustrations alongside other emerging talents. It was a dream come true, but it also meant confronting my fears head-on. What if Caleb showed up? What if his words followed me there? Amara was my rock through it all. We spent late nights in her studio, her editing photos while I sketched. Our conversations grew deeper, our laughter louder. One night, as we shared a pizza on her loft's fire escape, she reached for my hand. Her touch was soft, deliberate, and my heart raced. "Elias," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "You're stronger than you know." I wanted to kiss her, to let myself fall, but the ghost of Caleb's betrayal held me back. Trust was a fragile thing, and I wasn't sure I could rebuild it yet. The gallery show was a week away when I got a call from Priya. "Caleb got fired," she said, her voice heavy. "He showed up to work hungover, snapped at a customer, and the manager had enough." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to reach out to see if he was okay, but another part, the part that still stung from his words, kept me silent. The night of the show arrived, and the gallery was alive with energy. My illustrations hung on the walls, each one a piece of my heart. Amara was there, her camera around her neck, snapping candids of the crowd. Marcus introduced me to collectors, and for the first time I felt like an artist, not just a guy with a sketchbook. But as the night wore on, I caught a familiar figure in the corner of my eye, Caleb. He looked different, his usual confidence replaced by a slumped posture, his eyes red-rimmed. He approached me, hands shoved in his pockets. "Elias," he said, his voice hoarse, "can we talk?" I glanced at Amara, who gave me a nod of encouragement. We stepped outside, the Seattle night cool against my skin. "What do you want, Caleb?" I asked, my voice steady but guarded. "I messed up," he said, his eyes on the ground. "I didn't know how to handle it. Your truth, scared me. I thought I was losing you, and I lashed out." His words were raw, but they didn't erase the hurt. "You didn't just lash out," I said. "You exposed me. You made me feel like I was wrong for being me." He nodded, tears brimming. "I know. I saw the video from the bar, the reviews. I'm losing everything, Elias. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I needed to say I'm sorry." I looked at him, the boy I'd once called my brother, now a stranger humbled by his own mistakes. I didn't forgive him, not yet, but I felt a weight lift. "I hope you figure it out, Caleb," I said, turning back to the gallery. "But I'm done carrying your choices." Inside, Amara was waiting. She didn't ask what happened, just pulled me into a hug. The warmth of her embrace felt like home, and for the first time, I let myself lean into it. The night ended with applause, sales, and a quiet moment with Amara under the gallery's twinkling lights. I didn't know where we were headed, but I knew I was ready to find out. The gallery show marked a turning point. My art was gaining traction, and with Amara by my side, I felt like I could face anything. But Caleb's apology lingered, a loose thread in the tapestry of my healing. I didn't want to forgive him, not after the pain he'd caused, but I couldn't shake the memories of our friendship, the late-night drives, the shared dreams, the way he'd made me laugh until my sides hurt. Was there a way to move forward without letting him back in? I threw myself into new projects, collaborating with Amara on a photo illustration series about queer resilience. We worked in her loft, music playing softly as we bounced ideas off each other. One evening, as we sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by prints and sketches, she looked at me with a seriousness I hadn't seen before. "Elias," she said, "I like you more than a friend." Her words hung in the air, vulnerable and real. I froze, my heart pounding. "Amara, I like you too," I admitted, my voice shaky. "But I'm scared. After Caleb, I don't know how to trust again." She nodded, her hand finding mine. "We'll go slow," she promised. "No pressure, just us." Our first date was simple, a walk through Pike Place Market, sharing a bag of warm donuts as we watched the ferries glide across Puget Sound. Her laughter, her gentle teasing, the way she saw me. It was everything I'd been afraid to hope for. But even as I fell for her, Caleb's shadow loomed. I'd heard he'd left the grind for good, taking a job at a warehouse across town. Part of me wondered if he was okay, but I pushed the thought away. I had to focus on me, on Amara, on the life I was building. Then came the email. It was from Caleb, sent late one night. Subject line, "I'm sorry." I almost deleted it, but curiosity won. He wrote about his spiral, losing his job, his friends, his sense of self. He didn't ask for forgiveness, just explained how his fear of change had driven him to hurt me. "I was wrong," he wrote. "I didn't understand what it meant to be your friend." I read it twice, then closed my laptop. I didn't reply, but his words chipped away at my anger, leaving room for something softer. Not forgiveness, but understanding. Amara and I grew closer, our days filled with art and quiet moments of connection. One night, at a queer open mic in Fremont, I performed a spoken-word piece about my journey. The crowd was small but warm, and as I spoke about betrayal and rebirth, I saw Amara in the back, her eyes shining with pride. Afterward, she kissed me under the neon glow of a bar sign, and for the first time, I felt free. But karma wasn't done with Caleb. A local news outlet picked up a story about the grind's toxic barista, citing his rant and the Yelp backlash. It wasn't just about me anymore. His actions had rippled, affecting his coworkers, his reputation. I didn't want to revel in his downfall, but I couldn't deny the justice in it. He'd hurt me, and now the world was holding him accountable. As winter settled over Seattle, I started planning a new exhibit, one that would tell the stories of others like me. Queer people navigating love, loss, and redemption. Amara was my partner in every sense, her photos bringing my illustrations to life. We were building something beautiful, not just for us, but for everyone who'd ever felt betrayed by someone they loved. Spring arrived, painting Seattle in shades of green and gold. My new exhibit, Unbroken, opened to a packed gallery, with Amara's photos and my illustrations weaving a tapestry of queer resilience. Friends, strangers, and even my mom stood among the crowd, her eyes misty as she hugged me. "I'm so proud of you, Mijo," she whispered. I looked at Amara, who was snapping photos, her smile brighter than the gallery lights. This was my life now, full, messy, and mine. Caleb reached out one last time. A handwritten letter slipped under my apartment door. It was brief, raw, and real. He was in therapy, working through his fears, trying to understand why he'd lashed out. "I don't expect you to write back," he wrote, "but I needed you to know I'm trying to be better." I folded the letter and tucked it away. Maybe one day I'd respond, but for now I needed space to heal. The exhibit became a beacon, drawing queer artists and activists from across the city. Marcus, the gallery owner, offered me a solo show, a chance to tell my story on an even bigger stage. Amara and I celebrated with a late-night walk through the park where we'd first connected. The same park from the image prompt, now alive with spring blossoms. We sat on that wooden bench, the carved words, "Love fights through betrayal," worn but still visible. I traced them with my finger, then looked at Amara. "I love you," I said, the words slipping out before I could overthink them. Her eyes widened, then softened, and she leaned in, her lips meeting mine. "I love you too," she whispered against my skin. In that moment, under the stars, I felt whole. Caleb's public reckoning had faded from the headlines, but its impact lingered. He'd lost more than a job, he'd lost the trust of a community. Yet, in his letter, I saw a glimmer of hope, a chance for him to rebuild. I didn't know if our paths would cross again, but I wished him peace. My heart was too full of love to hold on to hate. As Amara and I walked hand in hand, Seattle's skyline glittering in the distance, I realized something profound. Betrayal had broken me, but it had also set me free, pushed me to find my voice, my art, my love. Caleb's actions had tried to dim my light, but I'd shone brighter because of it. And in the end, karma didn't just bring him to his knees. It lifted me to a place I'd never dreamed I could reach. The world wasn't perfect, and neither was I. But standing there, with Amara's hand in mine, I knew I'd found something stronger than betrayal. A love that fought through it all, and a truth that no one could take away.